It is my great honor to introduce our moderator, Chairperson Sung Jae-choi of the ASEM Global Aging Center, Board of Directors, and Professor Emeritus at Seoul National University. Let's put our hands together to welcome him. Dr. Choi.
Hello, good afternoon, and distinguished guests, and ladies and gentlemen. My name is Sung Jae-choi, to have a role of moderator this third session. In this session, we will have three organizations' presentations on their accomplishment and their experience to protect human rights and to human rights of all the persons and promote the right so far. That these three organizations I have in Korea, that these three organizations are National Human Rights Commissions of Korea, that is a government organization, and HelpAge Korea, that is a leading CSOs in promotion of the right of the older persons, and ASEM Global Aging Center, that is an international CSOs endorsed by the Asia-Europe meeting. The role of the National Human Rights Institute and civil rights organizations is very crucial in protecting and promoting the human rights of the older persons. This morning, as Margaret Yeong mentioned in her keynote speeches, that the UN Open-Ended Working Group on Aging decided on the need of the new UN Convention on Human Rights and Older Persons in last May, about 2 months ago. In decision-making process, national human rights institutions and civil rights organizations played the role of, in a sense, in expressing their government representative to make a favorable decisions. And I have an experience of participating in this open-ended working group on aging for the past 10 years. These civil society and human rights, national human rights institutions consistently insisted on the need of a new convention on human rights of human rights of the older persons. And in a sense, the last May's decision at the open-ended working group was a result of the role of the national human rights institutions on civil society organizations, in a sense. In this sense, it is very important, I think, the national institutions and civil rights organizations' roles in promoting the human rights of all the persons. I think this is a UN example, is one of the good examples that what the national human rights institutions and civil rights organizations in each of in our countries should do in the future. Let me introduce for the three speakers briefly. All three speakers have a variety of careers and experience, and you can look at what they have done so far, and you can look at their resume at this conference materials. And I will only introduce speakers with only their current jobs. And we have three speakers from each of the organizations. I will ask you to present your presentation, and in the order of the printed in this material. The first speaker is Mr. Dong-woo Lee, the Deputy Director of the National Human Rights Commission of Korea. Would you please greet to the audience for a while? Yeah, thank you very much. Okay, the next speaker, the second speaker is Mr. Hyun Cho, who is a member of Board of Directors, ASEM Global Origin Center, and the President of Korea, HelpAge Korea. Also, you can greet to the audience. Thank you. Okay, the third speaker is Dr. Gangnam, who is also a member of Board of Directors, ASEM Global Aging Center, and professor at the Department of Silver Industry, Gangnam University. Thank you. And each of you speakers will be given only 15 minutes for your presentations. Your speaker, please check your time during the presentation. You know, one of the major role of the moderator is to control time. After 3 presentations, and we would like to have a question and answer time for about 10 minutes. There might be some participants from, through the Zoom, and we welcome the questions and the comments from the Zoom participants. Now the presentation will begin. Mr. Lee, are you ready? Please start your presentation.
네, 안녕하세요. 소개받은
Hello, as was introduced, I'm Lee Dong-woo. I come from the National Human Rights Commission of Korea. I'll be delivering my presentation in Korean. I would like to thank the interpreter once again, in advance for the interpretation. I'd like to welcome all the government officials from our ASEAN countries, as well as the CSOs, and especially NHRI colleagues. Nice to meet you all. So this year marks the 4th ASEM Forum on the Human Rights of Older Persons, Present and Future. And the NHRCK is now going to have this opportunity to talk to you about our activities and initiatives, and as well as collaboration that we have with CSO and NGOs. And this is such a great opportunity for me to present our organization. So thank you very much. So let me give you an overview of our organization, NHRCK. And I will talk about the activities of our commission to protect and promote the human rights of older persons, and the collaboration that we have with CSOs, and also the ASEM Global Aging Center, how we're partnering with the organization to promote the human rights of older persons, the planning activities that we have, what initiatives that we have in place, and the future direction for our collaboration. That will be the content of my presentation today. So let me briefly talk to you about our history, how we came to be established. We have many representatives from NHRIs from different countries in ASEAN. NHRCK is, of course, in an inevitably close partnership, a relationship with CSOs. When we were first established, we had a CSO there in society, playing an important role. And I will also talk about this at a later point. We have an action plan. Every year, we consult with the CSOs. And we also have to include in our action plan for the given year as to the collaboration activities that we'll be implementing with the CSOs. So they have been with us along our history. So we were established under the Paris Principles, as you may be very well aware. So we're an independent mechanism with a status guaranteed from the national and state bodies and organizations. And NHRCK as well, going back to 1993, we attended the Vienna World Conference on Human Rights. So there was a coalition formed as a joint task force of non-governmental organizations. And after attending the conference, they requested the government to install a national human rights institution afterwards. And the former President Kim Dae-jung announced his election pledge to enact the Human Rights Act and also to establish the National Human Rights Commission of Korea. And then in 2001, the National Human Rights Commission Act was announced, and our commission was launched in November 2001. NHRCK, just like any other NHRIs, focused on ensuring the protection and enhancing the human rights of all individuals and realizing human dignity and value and establishing the democratic basic order. This is in Article 1 of the National Human Rights Commission of Korea Act. Our vision is to make a society where people can live with dignity and as human beings. That includes everyone, their dignity, equality, and freedom to be guaranteed. And that is our main mission of our organization. So to give you a more specific explanation of our mandates and functions, you were hearing about the climate crisis and disasters that are taking place more frequently. We try to ensure the dignity of our human beings, and especially providing social protection for people from poverty and other social issues. And especially because of the digital divide, we have human rights issues of the older persons as well, and to give them a stronger protection. And especially as the society is entering a super-aged society, we're very much focused on promoting and protecting the human rights of older persons in that new age. Our commission is quite close from here, right next to the Myeongdong Cathedral. We have our headquarters located in Myeongdong. And in Busan, Gwangju, Daegu, Daejeon, and Gangwon, major metropolitan areas, we have our offices, and we have a branch office located in Jeju Island. And the decisions that are made by the Commission, all the decisions where we put our voice, we have the human rights remedies. For example, we have the rights of children and the human rights protection officers for the military, and also the rights of persons with disabilities, and all these different rights-related areas, we make our voice heard. When it comes to the NHRCK, it is very important that we have an advisory function or recommendation function. For example, to protect human rights, there could be laws and legal frameworks that would require improvement, and we provide a recommendation to the government. And if, for example, there's a bill that is pending before the National Assembly, we could make a statement and we could express our view regarding the bill in the National Assembly. Also, human rights education training, promotion, publicity, as well as collaboration with the CSOs. And not only at the domestic scene, also at the international scene, we actively partner with other organizations, especially when it comes to the human rights of older persons. We have an organization which is GANRI, which is an alliance of all the national human rights institutions, and we're currently working as a chair of GANRI working group on aging. And also at the GANRI APF, we're also serving as a chair, and we're engaged in various other activities. Let me turn to the situations in Korea. Just like other countries around the world, we're seeing an accelerated pace of aging of population. We're the fastest aging country in the world. And at the same time, fertility rate is the lowest in the world. So super age society and super low fertility rates, especially we're seeing those areas where population is declining rapidly. The extinction crisis of local cities, which is becoming a very critical issue for the Korean society. Taking a deeper look, there are elder citizens who are living in those declining local cities, and the number is increasing. And also the aging rate in those cities is very high, and this is going to get worse in the future. We will really have to pay a lot of attention as to how we can better care these elder citizens in local communities, because this is a matter of human rights. And elder citizens in Korea are very much vulnerable to high poverty rate, and they also have a high employment rate because of their livelihood. and keep themselves afloat, and they also have the motivation to continue to work as long as their health allows. And June 15th is a day of prevention of abuse against elder persons. So all the violence cases, abuse and neglect, and all these issues are compiled into statistics. Before June 15, we see an increasing trend every year. And behind these statistics, of course, there are older citizens. Sometimes they're unable to freely express the problems and the abuse and neglect that they experience. So the figures may not necessarily capture the reality. As the NHRCK Act stipulates clearly, from the point of view of older persons, we have a survey, a fact-finding survey conducted every year. The topics may be different. Last year, we focused on the digital divide and older persons. And this year, looking at the extinction of those declining cities and the situations of the older persons. Based on the survey results, we make a recommendation for improving laws and policies and express our opinions on parliamentary bills. We also submit our opinions to the UN Open-Ended Working Group on Aging, or also we submit our opinions as a parallel report on top of the state parties' report to the UN Human Rights Treaty monitoring bodies. So here you'll be able to see the main functions played by the NHRCK. It talks about fact-finding surveys and also policy recommendations that the Commission has made. And also the Constitution, Article 10 of the Republic of Korea, which talks about the human dignity. And also there are legal bases that are provided for in the NHRCK Act, where we can make recommendations to the government. Also, there are responsibilities and obligations that are to be borne by local governments and the central government. There are UN human rights treaties as well as general comment. And the decisions are used as a basis for us conducting this work. Another meaningful work that I want to share with you is that every year at the UN level, there's the working group on aging that is held. And we had the 14th working group session that was held. And there was a lot of meaningful work. Of course, we have side events that are held during that period. And also, we have a GONRI guidance on the human rights of older persons, which was created by our commission. And also, of course, UN has been very much promoting the establishment of the UN Convention on the Rights of Older Persons, which will be legally binding. So the draft version of the UN Convention has been created by the NHRCK and has distributed and conveyed that draft to the relevant organizations and the UN. And also in April, there was a 14th working group on aging in New York. There was a meaningful progress made as well. There are, for example, gaps and the blind spots that were not addressed under the UN human rights mechanisms. And the commitment was expressed and was shared at the UN General Assembly. It was a meaningful progress indeed. And of course, in that process, the NHRCK and also the ASEM Global Aging Center, as well as human rights related to CSOs, have been partnering together. Maybe two collaboration work that I want to share with you. Starting from 2001, the Human Rights of Older Persons Forum have been held, and we're having these sessions every other month. Last month, we had a 16th forum in Korea to establish the Framework Act on the human rights of older persons. and also to change the perception about older persons as a rights holders rather than a recipient of benefits and policies. And the decisions made by the international community were communicated to domestic stakeholders through those events. So that concludes my presentation, and I look forward to other speakers' presentations. Thank you very much.
To make haste to a presentation. Next presentation, Mr. Cho, would you please?
Thank you. My name is Hyun. I work for HelpAge Korea. I will present under the title of HelpAge Korea and the human rights of older people in Korea. I will introduce briefly the reason why we are talking about older people's issue from the perspective of human rights perspective in Korea. As Dr. Lee said, Korea is a super-aged society. Older people aged 65 or older account for 19% of the total. Life expectancy is 83.5 years. On the other hand, total fertility rate is 0.72. The Korean government has established a welfare system within laws and policies to respond to problems arising from the aging population structure. There's the Elderly Welfare Act, and pension policy, livelihood support policy, health insurance, long-term care insurance, and employment policy are in place. And also the government supports organizations that provide welfare services such as long-term care, leisure activities, and education for older people. The number of centers exceeded 15,000 across the country. Although the government has a welfare system for older people, the following statistics show that the problems facing older people are still very serious. High levels of relative poverty, 39% of total older people population. High level of employment, working for a living, 42%. Increasing proportion of older people living alone at risk of isolation, 21%. High suicide rate among older people, 3,500 persons per year. And 80% of population, it is estimated that the 80% of population have negative prejudice against older people. We are considering that these statistics more seriously because problems becoming more serious due to rapid aging. Statistics show that there is still a gap between current welfare system and reality. One of the factors causing this gap can be seen as discrimination based on age rather than gender, disability, or race or religion. Age discrimination refers to treating people differently because of their age. This is having a negative impact on social systems, such as laws and policies to respond to issues of older people. Therefore, age discrimination factors included in individual perceptions and social systems must be eliminated. These are important activities of a right-based approach to protect the rights of older people. In order to respond to the issue of older people, the current system has been institutionalized as service-oriented and welfare-based. Now, we believe that this approach alone has its limitations. This is why a right-based approach is needed to protect the rights of older people from negative factors such as age discrimination. In Korea, a right-based approach to responding to the issues, older people's issue, is currently very new. Therefore, the number of stakeholders is small, and the scope of activities of them is still at the initial level. Korean government is making attempt to protect the rights of older people in its guideline, although it is in its early stages. And National Human Rights Commission of Korea, as Dr. Lee said, Dr. Lee is a position in charge of rights of older people. That position is assigned to the Social and Human Rights Department within NHRCK. And they deliver recommendation to the relevant government who violate the rights of people, older people, including older people. And we have ASEM Global Aging Center. It has a mission as a hub of ASEM member countries to contribute to the protecting and promoting the rights of older people. And we also, in Korea, there is a Korea Elder Abuse Protection Agency. This is a government-supported organization, and it has about 33 centers across the country, and it is mainly promoting projects to prevent elder abuse. And older people's organizations, the largest organization is Korean Senior Citizens Organization, which works for the benefit of their members, but protecting the rights of vulnerable older people is not the main activity. And there are small organizations, but the number is very small and their activities are very limited. Now let me introduce HelpAge Korea. HelpAge Korea is a charity organization that supports low-income older people in Korea and low-income countries. Let me introduce our activities, which is related to the right-based approach. At the community level, at the community level, we aim to work with older people to empower them so that they can act as citizens rather than beneficiaries to achieve change at the community level. It is a change in the attitude and behavior of older people themselves and people who have negative perception and discrimination against older people. At the social system level, we have a limited capacity to act directly to achieve system-level changes. Therefore, we are working indirectly by cooperating with activities of other organizations such as HelpAge International, NHRCK, and AGAC, etc. And at the community level, we are supporting the activities of older people. We have been supporting self-help groups of low-income older people in 14 locations with 10 local partners. We support self-help groups to help isolated and low-income older people build their social connections. And we are trying to strengthen their capacity and support them to participate and share in their communities as citizens rather than welfare recipients. And we're also supporting older people to participate in the campaign, such as HelpAge International's Age Demand Action Campaign every year. The main contents in this campaign were age discrimination, UN Convention for older people, and intergenerational solidarity. During the campaign, older people who are members of a self-help group collect signatures or collect surveys from people in their communities in each province. They try to provide information directly to people in their community. And we have had Age Talk to promote and discuss older people's issue. Main topic was UN Convention and Global Age Watch Index before. And this is a beautiful age campaign. This is a campaign that highlights the positive aspect of low-income older people in response to people's negative prejudice. This includes taking profile pictures of older people in the community and promote their positive image through SNS. At the social system level, we are trying to cooperate with the various stakeholders, NHRCK and AGAC, to achieve changes at the system level. We provide information on an aging issue, information on civil society activities in Asia, and provide a local older people's issue at the local level, and sharing reports and information provided by HelpAge International. And we also participate in the discussion process, attending the meetings, and provide advice and present our opinions from the perspective of field workers of HelpAge International and as a member of a steering committee of AGAC, like that. And we try to deliver the voice of older people. As Dr. Lee said that there is a forum for the older people's rights. I attended the forum, and I've been presenting some topics including housing rights, age discrimination, social isolation, and loneliness. And cooperation with the HelpAge International, actually we've got a lot of information from HelpAge International, especially for our activities in Korea to support the UN Convention for Older People. And we are participating in campaigns, ADA campaigns conducted by HelpAge International. And also we are participating in the project carried by HelpAge International. We promoted the Global Age Watch Index, participated in the production of Korean section of the Advancing Equality for Older People report, and participated in the production of a video of Voice of Older People. Now let me introduce one of the HelpAge International project. HelpAge International is a global non-profit organization supporting older people all over the world. And they think that older people face prejudice and discrimination because of their age. Sorry. Because of their age. HelpAge believes this means they are often at risk of violence, denied access to service, and poverty. This is because existing national laws and the international human rights system fail to address this discrimination and protect the rights of older people. So HelpAge International works at the national and international level, working with the civil society and partner organization. This is a country level project. The title is Advancing Equality and Legal Empowerment for Older People in Kenya and Tanzania. The purpose of this project is to protect the rights of older people and advocate for the elimination of all forms of age discrimination in laws and policies and practices in national and community level. So to this end, HelpAge International is now supporting empowering civil society, older people's association, and older people themselves, and other relevant stakeholders, starting from September last year until December this year. Key specific objectives include developing national ageism and advocacy strategies, advocating for national legislation, strengthening the capacity of older people to claim their legal rights, and hosting global webinar events. Now, the challenges and recommendations. In Korea, responding to a problem arising from the rapid aging is an urgent task. So far, Korean society has responded with a welfare-based approach, but a right-based approach should also be promoted in the future. To this end, it is necessary to achieve change at the community level through various interventions. It is a change in attitude, behavior, and perceptions of older people and people in the community towards age discrimination. And there is a need for change in our social system to protect the rights of older people by eliminating age discrimination factors included in laws and policies. There is a growing need for the participation and intervention of various stakeholders in society. Government. Korean government is in its very early stage in responding to the issue of older people with a rights-based approach. If there were a UN convention for older people, government would have a stronger obligation to change social systems. However, the Korean government has not yet expressed in its position on this UN convention. And NHRCK and AGAC, it's a positive environment in Korea that organizations such as NHRCK and AGAC are actively intervening for the rights of older people. However, these organizations also need more budget and power and network to work together. And CSOs. HelpAge Korea is working with older people to work with them as citizens rather than beneficiaries, and to change negative perceptions and discrimination against older people at the community level. The activities of CSO like us must continue steadily and spread widely. And organizations that provide welfare services, such as care, leisure, and education, are the main players supporting older people. They need to reflect more of a right-based approach in the process of providing services. There are CSOs who work to achieve changes in social system by influencing government and politicians to protect rights. However, they rarely work on rights issue for older people. There is a need to share with them the various rights issues facing older people and encourage their participation. And older people, it is known that the participation of older people themselves is key elements of a right-based approach. However, the largest older people organizations have a limitation in its roles, and smaller organizations have their weak capacity. Support is needed so that older people can be aware of the right issue and take action for them. Our society is already well aware of the need of change, but action is very slow. I think it is because people's negative perception as discrimination against older people. It will take a lot of time for this perception and discrimination to change. This is because it's deeply rooted in our personal and social norm. Nevertheless, I think we must do something now. Thank you.
Presentation, and next speaker is Professor Park. Would you please?
Well, good afternoon. I am wearing my second hat today. My role right now is to introduce to you the ASEM Global Aging Center, which is a very small and unique organization. And I think for you looking, three of us, the presenters for the third session, you are looking at very unique Korean approach to human rights of older people. Because I think Mr. Ju represents one of the oldest organizations, CSO, in Korea, I think born in 1982. And the National Commission was born in 2001, and AGAC was born in 2018. So I will try to explain to you what, in a short time period, AGAC has achieved, and also why we are here today together, and what we can do together from now on. So I will briefly show you what has happened, and actually without the existence of the National Human Rights Commission, I don't think the AGAC could have borne. And right now, so we are being supported by the National Commission in a way, even though we are an independent organization. So AGAC was established in 2018 to promote human rights of the older people, and it is an international organization, so it's kind of independent, but with very dynamic background and context, and how we are working. So from the inception of the concept of this organization, and when it opened in 2018, there have been so many projects going on, and so mainly the main activities include research, which is we are trying to gather information about human rights of older people in ASEM states, ASEM member states. So we have very good information and knowledge base on our website, both in Korean and English. And we have been producing materials for educating and awareness raising of the human rights of the older people, and also have had many exchange projects for projects with different organizations around the country and in a global context. And we have been continuing to do different information sharing services. So I think I skipped too further. So the policy research projects on different topics, including the emotional health support, ageism, pension policy, and different issues related to human rights, and have been producing the issue-focused publications regularly on different issues on elder abuse, gender and aging, adequate housing, and climate change as well. And there was last year, the AGAC focused on drafting the basic act on the human rights of older persons, because in Korea, even though we have many legal instruments to protect the welfare and the human rights of the older people, we do not really have the basic framework for promoting the concept of human rights. So we have produced the draft, and also this forum, particular forum on the present and future of the human rights of older person, have been very important in providing a platform for gathering of all the interest stakeholders for human rights of older people. So each year since 2021, we have been dealing with different issues, and this year we decided to focus on civil society organizations, because without CSO, the partnership between the GOs and NGOs, it would not be possible to realize our goal. So that the forum is a very important platform for our different projects. And then there have been a continuous dialogue on human rights of older persons, and the center has been inviting different experts from different countries, Europe, Asia, and the States, to sort of interview on different topics related to human rights of older persons, and everything is on our website for both English and Korean. So I think we really have a good database on human rights issues. And we are interested in educating on this issue of human rights in more age-friendly way. So we focus on creating materials, teaching aids, guidebooks on different topics. So we have been producing different projects related to human rights, the UN principles of older persons, and I think you could look at some of the samples outside in the hall. And also life planning is an important topic right now in Korea, because people are getting older and older. And in Korea, people usually retire if you're working in the service sector, maybe mid-50s or something like that. So you have a number of decades to plan ahead. So we are trying to really educate the public about this life planning, life designing, and also trying to share that experience with other countries as well. So we are producing materials both in Korean and English as well. And then we have been doing different public programs on this topic, as Dr. Lee just mentioned about the policy forums that we have been holding regularly. And during the COVID-19 in 2021, from the support from the ASEF, we had this special training session for human rights of older persons funded by ASEF. And the topic of this project was on innovative ways to protect the human rights of older people in the era of digital transformation. So we were focusing on digital rights as human rights for older people. So through online, we invited different member states from ASEM countries, and there were about 30 different participants, and every country, the 5 different countries, the people were represented from Cambodia and Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines, and Vietnam in 2021. And out of that project, we produced actually concept notes through different programs, lectures, and workshops. We came up with different projects that we wanted to continue, but unfortunately, it stopped with the paperwork. But I have included some of the topics that were produced by all the participants of the training. So we are hoping that we can continue with this project later on. So that's what AGS have been doing for the last few years. And now, as we shared all different information, ASEAN aging is a serious issue for all of us, and there are many issues and challenges ahead of us. And so, as the HelpAge International announced this index in 2015. Unfortunately, after 2015, the HelpAge International was not able to produce updated version because it was too difficult to collect information from different countries. But I always show this slide to my Korean colleagues because at that time, Korea ranked only 60th among 100 countries in terms of how we are prepared for this aging society. And I'm sure you can all find your own countries and unfortunately, none of the countries represented here are in the green field. So there are many works that we need to do together. So we are all worried about the issues of poverty, illness, and isolation that we all face in the global aging situation. And there is the SDG, as you know, that is very closely related to this global agenda as well. So the UN International Day of Older Persons is announced, and for each year they have different topics they advocate, and I think it's really important that we utilize this in our own work. So advocating for the human rights of older persons combines it's continuing since 1982 in Vienna, the International Plan of Action and Aging. And unfortunately, we didn't have anything after MIFA in 2002. And hopefully, we will have some more concrete results from our open-ended working group discussion on the Convention of UN. So the Korean experience, if I summarize, has been in a very short time period, we have really try hard to meet and address this issue of aging, and especially in 1981 when we created this Act on Welfare for older people. It was the time when Korea was very poor, and we were struggling to actually provide protection for low-income older people without any family support. And since that time, we have numerous legal instruments, almost everything on social protection, social pension, the health care, long-term care, public assistance, and social services. So we have created numerous legal instruments and public framework for trying to help older people in Korean society. However, as many of the speakers mentioned, there are many things that we need to bridge the gap between the policy and practice. So that's where I think we are here. And so for the agenda for cooperation and collaboration, since we know that we are all facing similar situation amongst ourselves, I think there are many challenges that we can address together. So, as in many of the ASEAN documents, as was mentioned in the opening ceremony this morning, I think we are really confirming the situation and then trying to focus. So today, I think what we are trying to do is ask different questions. What can we do in more concrete, which could bring more concrete results? Somebody mentioned that we're always talking about this issue and nothing is really changing, but I am hoping that our meeting today will really link to something more concrete results. So focusing on civil society, there are different questions that were already sent to you. I think many of you have some answers ready for discussion later on. So is CSO capacity building project needed in Southeast Asian countries? If so, what is the most urgent and how can we cooperate and collaborate? And there are different detailed questions that will be addressed in the next session. So for future ASEAN human rights of older persons project development, I think we are ready to embark on more new concrete and projects because, as I mentioned, AGAC as a facilitator, advocate, mediator, and coordinator, I think we can do a lot together with the UN organizations, ASEAN organizations, and HelpAge International, and maybe UNDP, COICA, and WHO, and all organizations that are related to the human rights of older people. So hopefully we will work together for a better future. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Park. Your excellent presentation. Particularly the Professor Park's asking you particularly from the Southeast Asian country, this question and the answer to these three questions might be main topics of the next sessions. And what you recommend to the AGAC and the Korean Society of Civil Societies. Okay, we have finished the three persons' presentation. We only have 5 minutes left, but we can use 5 minutes more. Maybe we can, I'm sure that I can end up with this session by the end of 4:15. Okay, we will have 10 minutes or less. Okay, so we have a time for question and answer. And if you have any question and comment on what the three speakers said so far, and please feel free to say, to ask them or others. Okay, also there might be some question from the distance audience through video. Any questions or comment from the floor? Yes, please.
Well, my comment is, I just want to inform that working with HelpAge International in September, we will have the Asia Pacific Regional Conference on Aging, and the theme is reframing aging population. So often I hear presentations on aging. It's also always like, okay, we have right, but the message is always the older persons are poor, they are ill, they are all the negative perception. We have to have a mind change our perception of an older person. And what I haven't seen also, it was also mentioned by one of the participants, we have to work with the younger generation. because they will be the future older persons. So you have to involve the younger generation and ask the simple question, are you ready to become an older person?
Yeah.
Most of them don't. And I'm an older person, I'm 81. I have walked the talk. So sometimes I feel very sad when they talk about older person, they are sick, they are frail, they are poor. Why is it always that image that you come? Why don't you give positive images? Of course, when you age, there are challenges, natural challenges. Yeah, decline in physical, but there are so many other things you can do. So, if possible, still provide information that aging is a privilege, and you can be healthy, you can be happy, you can be active. But to reach that, you have to do this and this and this, and that will be an important message for the younger generation. Thank you.
Okay. But I think his comment, but you don't need to answer this comment, but I think you have raised very important issues, and the comment about, I think it is a sense of ageism. Okay, ageism is so widely permeated all of the countries, all of life of, and in Western society, or in Oriental, even in Oriental society, traditionally they respect for the elderly, but older people. But in Korea, it's also very serious. I think this is very important. Do you have any comment or answer to this comment? Okay, we have to really focus on when we have a capacity building programs in the future. If you need to this kind of CSO's capacity building, and when you discuss in the next session, and then we can really pick up that point in developing our project. Okay, thank you. Any other question? Yes, please.
Professor Park, thank you to share the Global Age Watch Index. Right? Who gave the data to this index? And I don't see my country on the list.
Professor Park, could you answer?
Actually, this index was created by HelpAge International in London, and I think there were more countries, but somehow they showed only 100 countries, I think 99 countries in their report, and I don't know why it was deleted. Maybe your country did not participate in the collection of the data project, and yeah, so. But the website is still there, so you might look into it.
Okay. Any other question from the floor? Okay, let me ask Mr. Lee, and you said National Human Rights Commissions of Korea as chair countries of the Gandhi has developed the guidance on the right of the older person and the draft convention on the right of the older person. This is very commendable, I think. Could you tell us about any difficulties you have had with this task?
예.
Well, first of all, Professor Choi just rightfully pointed out that NHRIs, many NHRIs that are here today, were trying to provide a guideline or the guidance on the human rights of the older persons. And also at the 14th session, there was a very meaningful progress regarding the enactment or the establishment of the Convention on the Human Rights of Older Persons. And we were in the drafting work. And of course, I think, have that dilemma as to whether we're doing the right work, whether we're missing out on any elements, whether we're capturing all of the important ideas, whether all these values and important elements are fully captured and incorporated in the process. Fortunately, there were many experts and also the NHRI's representatives. They provided us with their feedback, and especially when we came up with the draft version for the convention, the ASEM Global Aging Center, the experts, as well as the members of the board, review the draft document and also share their feedback. And this was a collaborative work between the government body as well as the CSOs and the related organizations. Very meaningful indeed.
In this wrap that I promised to end up this session, and you have any additional question to ask us or comment? Okay. Let me end up these sessions, but as a chair of this session, I would like to, make sure that you mentioned and then you first you asked to us and you commented that I think it is granting human right of older person is not granting privileges to older person, but granting them the same human right as non-older person. But everybody will be older person in the future. And you said, are you ready to be older person? Yes. We presently are older person and the younger person, and could be in the future. If you want to be longer, live longer, you should be, you should be an older person in the future. Okay, you have your, future and your situation, and so the older person's life is not privileged, not the same right, human right as those who are not old. Okay, I'm very glad to be the chair of this session, and thank you for all the speakers and participants for your attention and cooperation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone, for your insights, contributions, and great energy. We'll have another very short break until 4:20 p.m. when session 4 starts. Please enjoy your break, and I'll see you very shortly. Thank you.